Hello there and welcome to another episode of Geek Out and Speak Out. My name is Geeks. So here we are, it's Sunday and another video recording. As I've said previously, this is a video about the events of the Royal Rumble, which happened last night. So I didn't stay up and watch it because it begins at 1 a.m. and finishes at whatever time o'clock. And I'm just not built for that anymore. I'm not built for those super late nights anymore. Maybe I'm getting too old for it. I don't know. But anyway, be that as it may, it happened last night. So I got up after an awful night's sleep. I might have been a little bit excited to watch it. I don't know. And I sat and watched it this morning. So the Royal Rumble event is one of my favourite of the year. It begins the year. Every January they have a Royal Rumble. This is the 37th consecutive year that they've had a Royal Rumble, and the actual Royal Rumble match itself is my favourite because it's 30 men or 30 women enter the match 90 seconds or 2-minute intervals depending on when you watch it, and elimination occurs when you get thrown over the top rope with both feet hitting the ground, and we'll call that the Shawn Michaels rule. If you know, you know. And basically it's last man standing. Start with entry number 1 and number 2. 3 comes in after 90 seconds or 2 minutes, 4, 5, and so on and so forth until there's just one person at the end. It's a long match. They can normally take about an hour to go from beginning to end, but most of the time there's surprises, there's a few funny spots, and there's build up to other matches or creation of new rivalries. There's a whole lot that goes on inside a Royal Rumble match. So anyway, I got up this morning. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning because I just had a really awful night's sleep. Banging headache. I was laying in bed awake, so I thought, what the heck, I'll just get up, have a cup of tea, pop a couple of paracetamol, get my butt downstairs, enjoy the peace and quiet, and whack on the Royal Rumble. Turned on the old WWE network, for however long it lasts. We shan't go into that just yet. But and I thought, well, why not watch the kickoff show? So the kickoff show is basically a rehash of everything that's happened over the last 5 or 6 weeks to build up to the matches of the Royal Rumble. And those kickoff shows last an hour, and that gives fans time to filter in and gives people something to watch an hour before the actual event starts. So I watched it an hour. It was alright, basically going over the same stuff over and over again. But then I looked after it finished and realised that the Royal Rumble event itself is 4 hours, just shy of 4 hours, 3 hours and 58 minutes. So this one is an epically long show. So it started. I'm always excited. As I said, Royal Rumble is one of my favourite events of the year. And it started, and I was sitting there with my cup of tea. First match that rolls around is the Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, they always like to start these days with a Royal Rumble, whether it be the men's or the women's, because you got to start the event with one and finish with the other. You can't have them back to back because that's a lot for someone to sit through. And that, like I said, these matches last about an hour, between an hour and 15 minutes, give or take, depending on the year. So yeah, they started with the Women's Royal Rumble, and straight from the beginning, there's a nice surprise. And just for the record, before I get started on anything, this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you've not watched the Royal Rumble, don't listen to this. Don't watch this. So anyway, I'm going to carry on. Straight from the beginning, there was a surprise. Entry number 2, I think it was number 2 or number 1, one of the 1 or 2, I can't remember which because I am very tired. Was Naomi. Now, we hadn't seen Naomi for a while, not since she walked out on the company, 18 months ago, maybe a little bit more than that. She walked out in a huff with Sasha Banks and hadn't been seen in the WWE since. Now, they both went off and done other things. I think Naomi went to TNA, and Sasha Banks is doing her thing as well, under her real name, Mercedes Menounos, I think it is. But anyway, it was interesting to see her back. She got a very, very warm reception from the crowd. She got a welcome back. And I was a bit like, I didn't really like her much as a performer anyway, but it's good that the WWE Universe has welcomed her back into their loving embrace. So, the match rolls on. There's not a huge amount to report. It's a fairly standard, no massive, huge surprises. There was a nice showing for a TNA women's wrestler, the TNA Knockout Champion. What was her name? Apologies there, I drew a blank. Jordan Grace. Thank you, Google. I just had a complete blank moment there. Jordan Grace, the TNA Knockouts Champion, which is interesting. So it suggests that there might be a relationship that's now developed between WWE and TNA. So we'll see what happens in the future with that. Some interesting business choices, business decisions to come, I hope. She had a good innings. I've never seen her wrestle before. Like I said, I am a WWE guy. I've not really dabbled much with TNA or AEW or any Impact or whoever else is out there. But it was good to see some new blood on the and someone from a different promotion. And she's a monster as well. She's small, she's sturdy, and she can perform. She's got a hell of a future ahead of her. I wonder if she'll hopefully she'll make the jump to WWE, because I think she'll be very, very good for the women's roster. One of the things I will say about this Royal Rumble, which it makes the hair go up on the back of my neck in a bad way, in that they devoted a lot of time to Nia Jax. I'm not a huge fan of Nia Jax. I don't rate her much as a performer. She's a big girl, she's tall, and she's curvaceous, let's say. But I don't rate her much as a wrestler at all. But they're obviously trying to get her over with the crowd, and since her shocking return. But yeah, I don't like her much, and it really it made me sad, because I don't like her much that they did devote so much time to her. But it's what it is. These kind of wrestling shows, they are a variety performance. If you don't like one thing, chances are you're going to probably like what comes afterwards. And they got there was the whole damage control thing, and with Bayley and Kairi Sane and Asuka, are they all going to turn on Bayley? Yeah. Anyway, so there was some progression of storylines. Probably one of the biggest things and biggest surprises for fans and for me as well was the debut of Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was she was an AEW performer, and she signed for WWE a few months ago. Could be more than a few months now, and she hadn't really been seen since. There's been a few little teasers, few little backstage video packages of her meeting and talking with other performers, but no one had seen her in the ring in front of the cameras. She'd reportedly been down at the Performance Center, so probably just kind of polishing off her skills, making sure that she's up to snuff before they stick her in front of the cameras, which you can kind of understand. There's a big investment for WWE, and it looks like they're really kind of getting the machine behind her, because she had a good innings on in the Royal Rumble. There was a huge crowd pop for her, which was really, really cool. And like I said, I'd never seen her before. I'd read things about her. Like I said, never watched any AEW really, so I knew who she was, but I never knew how she performed. But she turns out she's quite a performer, and she was the one that eliminated Nia Jax from the Royal Rumble. So I'm on the bandwagon already. I've not even seen her have a one-on-one match, but she eliminated Nia Jax from the Royal Rumble. So she's a winner for me as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what she does in the future. She had a few kind of stare down moments with Bianca Belair, which they are similar in a lot of ways. They're tall, they're strong, they've both got similar physiques, and yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if those two ever have a one-on-one match. They teased it, I suppose, just to see how the fans would react, and they did react, so I have a feeling that there's going to be a future rivalry between those two. And towards the end, there was I think entry number 30 into the Women's Royal Rumble was the return of Liv Morgan, which was good, because we hadn't seen her for a while. I think she'd been out with an injury, and that, so she made a nice surprise return, and she ended up being one of the final three in the Women's Royal Rumble. There was her, Jade Cargill, and Bayley. Now, listening to the crowd, there was clearly a split on who they wanted to win. which means that the crowd were into it, and they really were into it. There was no real kind of quiet moments or lulls. There was noise through the whole match, and it all happened off pretty quick. There was Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill got eliminated to leave Bayley. The crowd went absolutely bonkers when Bayley won, because that's an event that she's never won before, and everyone a lot of people were hoping she would get her moment. So she's going to have a WrestleMania moment now, which is great, because she's been around a while and she's not really had. She's always been in the shadows of other people, other performers, I feel. So it'd be nice to see her have a shining moment at WrestleMania. But the question is now, who will she challenge? Will she challenge Rhea Ripley? Or will she challenge her fellow Damage Control teammate, Io Sky? So there was a slight breather, and then they moved on to the next match, which really surprised me when this one was what the next match was the championship match. Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. Now, a fatal 4-way, which is good. I haven't seen a good fatal 4-way for a while, and with these four guys they're at the top of their game. They're solid. They're seasoned. They're solid performers. So I had a feeling it was going to be a good match. And for the record, Roman Reigns is an absolute legend as far as I'm concerned. He may only be a part-timer now. He may be the champion, or maybe only a part-time champion, but he's earned it. He's really earned it. All through those years when WWE were really pushing him down the fans' throats, saying you must like him, you will like him, and they were just turning on him and booing at him. And it, regardless of how much it didn't seem to faze him, I'm sure it did. It must, And he was that first big run of his as champion, multiple time champion, was a bit of a failed experiment, but it went on a bit too long. I think they were hoping it would do the John Cena thing, is that with John Cena they loved him. Been around too long now, let's boo him for a little while, and then it was fun to boo him, and then he went away for a little while, he's come back and everyone loves him again. I think that's what they were hoping with Roman Reigns. And as horrible as it sounds, when he went away with his health problems, don't wish that on anyone. He was recovering, he was suffering with leukemia, bless him. And he, just before he left, he gave his best promo he'd given. It was My Name is Joe promo. If you know, you understand, that was Roman Reigns being himself, not his being Joe Anawahi, not Roman Reigns. And so if he left and never came back after that, then that probably would have been his finest promo. But he didn't. He came back and became the tribal chief and has just dominated. They've really pushed him and they've really done some good storylines with him, and he's been champion for 2.5 years, which is quite some time now for the WWE. They don't normally push champions that hard and that long, but the only ones that he hasn't beaten as far as longevity is concerned, I think, is Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, and Hulk Hogan. That's pretty illustrious. That's almost like Mount Rushmore of WWE champions there. So he's up there, and and it's not like he puts on lousy matches either. It's not like he never puts in an effort. Unlike Brock Lesnar, who tends to kind of phone it in sometimes and really doesn't look like he's trying that hard when he was part-time champion. Roman Reigns gives it his all every single time, and this match was no exception. He had LA Knight, who was just, his popularity is going through the roof at the moment. AJ Styles, who's just come back with a new attitude and is jacked. I mean, he's been hitting the weights those few months he was off. And then Randy Orton. What can anyone say about Randy Orton? He was off for 18 months. He had spinal fusion surgery. He's come back, and he's always been a big guy, but he is a beast. He's been hitting the weights, he's been hitting those protein shakes, and he is a absolute monster now. So all four of these guys are pretty big, heavy. They're pretty heavy hitters, and these guys are pretty big guys as well. They're all jacked. They're all kind of ready to just tear the house down and tear chunks out of each other. And it didn't disappoint. It was action, moves after move after move. and the crowd were into it. They were going absolutely bonkers. They were going crazy, and it didn't disappoint. There's not a lot I can say about it, but except that, you know, there were some really good high spots, some high flying stuff. You know, you can always rely on AJ Styles to do his high flying stuff. There was some pretty heavy duty slams and all this stuff. You know, it was no disqualifications, so you would expect a little bit of interference from, you know, Bloodline, which there was a little bit of interference, and it really stole it from, I think it was Randy Orton, who hit his patented RKO, and everyone thought he was going to win, pin the champion, 1, 2, that 3 count, that elusive 3 count on Roman Reigns didn't happen. Got pulled out of the ring, and it was Solo Sikoa. Of course it was. You know, he's really been the party pooper the last year or so. No, more than that, I think now. But yeah, he's people really don't like him at the moment. So the match rolled on, and cut a long story short, it was Roman Reigns that picked up the pin. Of course he did. They weren't going to have him lose his 2.5-year title run, finish his title run this close to WrestleMania. It ain't going to happen. And so he's going to be rolling on to WrestleMania as champion again. But the question remained is, who would he be facing? So the match that came after was another championship match. And I wasn't really expecting much from this one. It was Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. I can say a lot about Logan Paul, but I won't. That's not what this video is about. It's not about my personal feelings about Logan Paul or the Paul brothers, but I'll give the man credit. He's taken to wrestling, WWE style, like a duck to water. He really has, and he's an incredible athlete. So he had his work cut out for him with Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is very physical. He's got a very unique style, and he will punch you in the face. And yeah, the match was good. It was a very solid match, and Logan Paul is so good at being a heel. You know, they first brought him in as a babyface, but it didn't take long for fans to realise neither of the Paul brothers can be babyfaces. Because they've got just such strong heel tendencies, and that's what they've made him. They made him a heel, and he plays it perfectly. You just love to hate this guy, and he gets heat like nobody's business. He's one of the few. I think him and Dominic Mysterio at the moment, those are the two guys that have got the biggest heat from the crowd, I feel. So there were some high-flying shenanigans and physicality and things like that. Everything you'd expect from Logan Paul. He hasn't had that many matches. The thing to remember is he's only had about 4 or 5 televised matches now. But he can go. He can go. A particularly viral moment, as the WWE have been calling it, is last year's Royal Rumble, when one side of the ring was Logan Paul, the other side of the ring was Ricochet, and they both springboarded off the top rope and just collided in the air above the middle of the ring, and it was incredible to see. Never seen anything like it, and you know, maybe you won't ever see anything like it, but it's just cemented to me just how good an athlete Logan Paul is. Anyway, they had a really good ending to the match. One of Logan Paul's cronies jumped the rail, tried to give the brass knuckles to Logan Paul, just like they did at when he won it against Logan Paul won it against Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel. That didn't happen, and then down the ramp, or down the aisle comes Austin Theory with Australian jackass. What's his name? Again, I've drawn a blank. Grayson Waller, of course. Sorry, I am very, very tired, and I apologise. I drew a blank again there. Grayson Waller, Austin Theory coming down the aisle to the rescue, well, seemingly to rescue Logan Paul. They slip him the brass knuckles behind the referee's back, but before he could use them, there's a tussle, and Kevin Owens manages to get brass knuckles, uses them to punch Logan Paul in the face, which I'm sure there's maybe millions of people that would love to do that. Logan Paul went down, then Kevin Owens went for the pin. He thought he had it all won, had the leg hooked. There was a perfect camera angle. It was perfectly done. You could see Kevin Owens' hand with the brass knuckles. You see the referee in the background counting the 1, the 2, and he looks up and he sees the brass knuckles in Kevin Owens' hands, calls for the disqualification. Beautiful finish to the match. So well done and choreographed, and it had the perfect shot to it. I have to say, I was quite invested in this match. Like I said, I don't like Logan Paul, but this match was another good match, and very solid match, and you couldn't fault it. It was so good and so well done. So Logan Paul retains through disqualification. I guess he's going to disappear till WrestleMania now, carrying the US Championship. Now, before I get on and start talking about the Men's Royal Rumble match, which was the last match on the card, I have to say I absolutely love Pat McAfee. I think he's brilliant on commentary. It's a shame when he stopped doing it full time, because he's an absolute legend. And at the beginning of the Royal Rumble, just like they did last year, they surprised everyone and had him come out to join the commentary team. And rumour has it that last year Michael Cole and Corey Graves didn't know that Pat McAfee was coming out. So it was a surprise for the crowd, for everyone. It was a last minute addition, and it was brilliant. And they did it again. Right at the beginning, before the first match, before the Women's Royal Rumble. Pat McAfee's music hit. He came out, and I genuinely believe again that they didn't know that Pat McAfee was coming out. But I just wanted to mention that, a shout out to Pat McAfee, because the man's a legend. So good on commentary. And I just wished he would come back full time again, because he's brilliant. So the last match was the Men's Royal Rumble match. And you know, they left it to the last, which doesn't surprise me, because there's a lot of hype behind the Men's Royal Rumble. No disrespect to the Women's Royal Rumble, but the Men's Royal Rumble has got a much richer legacy to it. I think the Women's Royal Rumble, I think this is either the 5th or the 6th. I can't remember which exactly at the moment. But the men's, this has been going on for 27. This is the 27th iteration of the Royal Rumble. So, you know, there's a long legacy for this match. So it's the main event as far as I'm concerned. And it was a good match. It was a good match. I shan't lie. I was entertained as hell, as I always am. You know, it's always nice to see surprises. And like I said before, there was funny spots. And but R-Truth, man, that man is on fire at the moment, and he cracks me up every time. And you can tell he's got over with the crowd again, and you can tell that the creative like to use him in these funny spots. He tried entering the Women's Royal Rumble thinking it was the Men's Royal Rumble, and it was just hysterical. And he put in a nice appearance in the Men's Royal Rumble. I say nice appearance. He wasn't in it for very long. He got eliminated, but it was one of those spots to make you laugh. And then he's so good at it. His old Ron Killings. A couple of highlight moments for me was the return of Andrade. I don't know if he's still married to Charlotte Flair. I think he is. But yes, it was a nice surprise. I think he came in either 5th or 6th. And it took the crowd a minute, because they didn't necessarily recognize his music. And he came out in Lucha Libre gear, took his mask off, and there he was, Andrade. And he's put on a little bit of timber since the last time we saw him on WWE TV. And it was good to see him back, because he was just starting to catch fire when he was with the WWE last. And then what happened, and he left and did other things. But it's good to see him back, because he's a really strong performer. And it'll be interesting to see if he does any other. He's going to do some other stuff, but if he does any stuff with Santos Escobar, because I think those two, they did have a couple of moments during the Royal Rumble match. It'll be interesting to see. I think those two will be able to have a fantastic match, because I think Santos Escobar at the moment is one of the best in-ring performers that WWE got, and he's a sleeper as well. He's not. I think he's starting to get popular, but give it a couple of years. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a top contender one of these days. That was good to see Andrade back. And there was another moment. Oh, Omos. Where's Omos been the last year or so? I can't remember the last. I think it might have been last year's Royal Rumble was the last time I saw him. But this guy's a beast. 7'3", about over 400 pounds, and it's good to see him back. It's nice to see MVP with him as well. And he wasn't in it for very long, as you would expect. But he came because he's what they would call in the business a spectacle. So an attraction. So, you know, they wouldn't have him in there very long. He came in, I think he eliminated a couple of people, and then shortly after, Pat McAfee's music hit, and it's like a surprise to him and to everyone. So he came from behind the announcer's desk, got into the ring, and then thought better of it, climbed back over the top rope and eliminated himself, which was a smart idea. But again, it was another funny spot for the match. But yeah, that had the heavy hitters in there. You had the CM Punk. This is his first match since returning at the end of Survivor Series. You had Cody Rhodes. You had Drew McIntyre. You had The Miz. You had all the big names. Sami Zayn. You had all the big and popular names that on the card that weren't in the matches previously. And that, but the only thing I'll say about this Royal Rumble, it became very, very clear very early on in the whole event who was going to win. That's the sad thing about it. And so just to carry on, the final two, well, actually the final four were Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Gunther. Gunther, again, you can't go wrong with him. He is an absolute star. Longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. He's outshone Honky Tonk Man's reign. I've seen him perform live at Clash of the Castle. And when he chops someone, you can hear it. we were sitting quite far back and you could hear it. And that. So to say that those chops hurt would be an understatement. I'm surprised their butt cheeks don't move when they get chopped across the chest. It's just such a smack. So yeah, so there was Gunther, McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. Final four. It was a good final four. Any one of those could main event WrestleMania, as far as I'm concerned. It couldn't be all of them, of course. It got whittled down to Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Now, see, I was happy for either of these to win. I was a CM Punk fan before he had his WWE exit. I wasn't a huge fan of what I'd heard about him while he was away, but he's obviously had his troubles. He's obviously got over them, hopefully, and he's come back to the WWE with a clean slate, and hopefully he's going to do some good business and some good matches, because that's what we want to see. We want to see him have matches, not necessarily ruffle feathers, but just have good matches, put on a show, and yeah, so we can all enjoy it, and not to take things too seriously and not to take things too personally. And Cody Rhodes, I mean, since he's been back in the WWE a couple of years now, I'm a huge fan of Cody Rhodes. I was even before he left, before they did the Stardust thing, and then he went AEW and all this other stuff that any wrestling fan knows about. But his return at the WrestleMania against Seth Rollins was amazing. As a goosebump moment. But we won't talk about that just yet. Maybe another day. Anyway, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. Now this is when it comes predictable. It was obvious it was going to be one of these two anyway, because CM Punk has come in with such momentum. However, about 2 hours or 3 hours before, about 5 times they harped on about the last wrestler to win back-to-back Royal Rumble was 97 and 98 with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Can Cody Rhodes do it this year? Now tell me, if you hear that more than once, tell me that doesn't project who's going to win. So I thought, no, I'll take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they're just trying to, swerve. Maybe they're just trying to throw a red herring in there. But no, it wasn't a bad thing, Cody Rhodes winning, because I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan. But it was a bit predictable. I had it in the back of my mind when I was watching it, because they harped on about it quite a few times, and I did make it a little bit predictable. But be that as it may, Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble. and did the proverbial pointing at the WrestleMania sign. Well, the pyro went off, and then then it cut to Roman Reigns and the wise man Paul Heyman sitting in the skybox, and then Cody Rhodes was pointing at Roman Reigns. So I think we all know who he's gonna challenge at WrestleMania. It's going to be a rematch from last year's WrestleMania, where Cody Rhodes couldn't get the job done. And is Cody Rhodes going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40? That's a big WrestleMania. It's a big match. So I, for one, am going to be waiting with bated breath for WrestleMania this year, because I think there's going to be some banger matches, just absolute smashers, and I can't wait. And as a sidebar, again another sidebar, the quality of events and matches that WWE have been putting on the last 18 months or so has been through the roof. I can honestly say the matches are top quality, and occasionally you get the odd stinker because you're gonna, but they're getting so consistent with how good their events, their premium live events, or PLEs are called now, not called pay-per-views, called PLEs. How good the quality is. Now, you know, obviously there's been some machinations backstage, some political struggles, and certain people have left, and there's controversies and lawsuits and stuff. And but that's not, so long as it doesn't affect the product. And in fact, the product has got better when certain people have left, and this has happened and that's happened. Certain people are in creative control. It's a proven commodity now that what they're doing is working. They're putting on some of the best stuff since the Attitude Era, as far as I'm concerned. So keep it up, WWE. You're doing a good job, and so are all you boys and girls, because Royal Rumble 2024 was an absolute cracker. So there wasn't a weak match. I loved every single one of them, and even the Logan Paul Kevin Owens match, I didn't think I'd like. I did enjoy that, so I can honestly say this is a big thumbs up for this show. Big thumbs up. I'm not going to give it a rating out of 10, but it's going to be thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, or thumbs down. But no, absolutely thumbs up this show. If you're not a WWE fan, you probably have no idea what I've been waffling on about, and why have you been sitting through this. But please do watch these events, because they are so good, so entertaining. If you don't like one thing, chances are you're going to like something else. But this show did not disappoint. It was 5 hours. 5 hours of WWE I sat through this morning, if you include the kickoff show, and then 4 hours of the PLE. Oh, I was tired by the end of it, and hungry, and I'd had about 7 cups of tea, so I weed about 4 times. Information you didn't need to know, but you got it anyway. Sorry, I'm rambling, I'm so tired. I have been talking about this for a very long time. It's the first time I've done a WWE video on my channel. It has gone long. I apologise for that, but I had a lot to say, and it is a good show. So yeah, but thank you for watching. If you've watched this, I appreciate it. I hope you agree with the things I say. If not, it's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, send me an email if you disagree, or if you agree, whatever. Or if you have any other suggestions, email me. The email is going to be kind of in this little corner down here somewhere. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing next. I haven't got anything planned at this point in time, but I'm sure I will for maybe do one for next week. Until that time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.